Hey everybody, back here again. This time we're going to go for a more intermediate skill level lesson. So if you did the beginner one practice and you felt good about all of our chords in the beginner, and you've done the novice and you felt good about our scales, hammer-ons, arpeggios, pull-offs, everything like that, and you're feeling comfortable, now let's start putting it all together a little bit more intermediate fashion so we can start playing some songs. It's okay, it's okay. I think Bez wants to go out, but she was just out about a half hour ago, so I'm going to wait a second. So first I want to start with some arpeggios on our box chords, because we already learned our arpeggios up here. Now we're going to learn some on the actual neck, and we're going to add some suspended notes to give it a little bit more life, a little bit more inflection. So we'll start with E, key of E, so we're going to go E, B, and then A. Okay, so essentially see what I'm doing there is on the fourth note of each of the chords, so that would be on the B string for chords with a root on the A string, and the G string for chords with root on the E string. I'm doing a little hammer on from time to time. So we're arpeggioing the chord, we're doing our alternate picking that we learned in the last lesson, then we're just adding that little nice hammer to give it that life, and then here just doing a nice little A, but then we're going to go into a little riff in E, and then back to our E. So that's just a little E fill right there. Let's, right? And so that's just a way you can kind of liven up your box chords. And since we've practiced box chords all up and down the neck, that means you can do that anywhere, That's right? So the intro is Sweet Child of Mine. I'm playing in standard tuning right now, so typically that song will be played in a half step down tuning. But yeah, so next I think we should liven up our blues a little bit, because we've been practicing that along the way. So now we can start messing around with some hammers, since we've already practiced hammers, and kind of going into a little bit more speed and some cadence. So like maybe a little bit of 12 bar, like some Pride and Joy or something like that. Right? So all that is, we're taking, and like what Steve Ray does, which is genius, he adds an extra note to his music. Sorry. And then, but it's an open note, and it's not really played by anything. You can even mute it if you want to, but. Right? So it's that open note that's not actually, you're not playing any frets or anything like that, but it's giving you that extra feel to it. So it's open on the E, and open on the B, the G and the B. Then hammer on third to fourth fret. Then second fret on the A, fourth fret on the A, okay, second fret on the D. Back to the G, sorry, the E, hammer on from the third to fourth, back to the A, and then just a little A chord. So even though the blues is in E, we're doing a little going to switch to A. So then our B is going to be all done in fills. So it's sliding down. So slide means when you go from, you can go up or down the neck, so you can go sharp or flat, but it's taking the note higher. So we're going to go a half step higher from the 3rd fret on the G string. Then we're going to use our slide, pull, so that's E in the 3rd fret, A, 1st fret, 2nd fret, and just reverse it if you want to. Alright, such is a good way to start to liven up your blues and get the rhythm going, and then have a little bit of fun with it. And then I think it's, obviously Steve Ray Vaughan, one of the ultimate blues players. You know, and we might even do a full blues lesson on its own because there's so much to go under and so much to learn just within the blues. But let's keep rolling. We're gonna go to back to our Bach scale. So we learned the A minor blues scale. Right? We've been practicing, I hope, alternate picking the whole time, doing our hammer-ons and pull-offs. We're gonna now though learn a little bit of how to solo, because at this stage you should be able to start thinking about solos. And the first thing before we do anything for a solo, I want you guys to start learning is the bend. And a bend is essentially the same as a slide in the sense that you're just alternating the notes. So, right? Except the bend adds a lot more soul to it. And you can do a half bend just like you can do a half slide, or a full bend, or a double bend, right? I guess it was 1.5 bend. But it also it adds that soul, adds that tone, and then it allows you, instead of putting your fingers all the way down here, where you're farther away from the rest of the scale, you can stay here and just go right into the notes that you want to play. So it's really crucial at the beginning to learning bends. Also, bends in general, they give tonality, and then they allow you to snap up, and you can start with a bend versus. So very versatile, the bends. Also, when we were playing this, those are bends as well. Those are just to give fluctuation to the notes. So like, you get that sound. And so it's a different type of bend. It's sort of like a mixture of a bend and vibrato. Vibrato being something like you learn in violin, where you're just giving extra life to the note so that you can let it sustain longer versus die out. So we're gonna stay here, in this A minor section, A minor blues, A minor pentatonic section, you can do heaps with, and it's where a lot of guitars, basically live in, because it's easy and it's fun and it sounds good. But if you can just do a little, very basic chord structure. So it's A, D, E, then 1, 4, 5. Right? That's just all in that same chord structure, that same scale structure that we've been practicing, and you can do it up and down the neck, right? So that's an E, the same thing, G, F, B, C, and D, right? So in that first lesson, we learned all of the chords corresponding. And this is just one position of how you can do scales, or sorry, solo, or a little bit, riffs, if you will, in each chord structure. Now we should also, and like I said, a lot of artists live in right? It's all just in that A minor, and then for the blues as well, it works great. Clapton has a little interesting wrinkle. Instead of going, right? Right? So all that is for that blues, Crossroads Blues, amazing song, but it's just A, and you're just hammering off the entire chord, and then bending a little bit on the 3rd fret of the A string. And this is a riff on a D where you have your ring finger and your middle finger on the second frets of the B and G strings, E and G strings, and then your forefinger on the 1st fret of the B string. I think it's the D5th. And then that super basic blues riff that we learned earlier in the 2nd lesson. And then all of that's just right there in that A minor blues box that we've been practicing. I also want to introduce one more chord structure, scale structure. We'll do the rest of them. There are 5 total positions along the neck, and then they repeat themselves. But the ones that are the open ones, so for example, this box here, right? So that's our box in A. But say we wanted to play A elsewhere, because we know that we have this A, we also know that we have this A, right? So then that would be okay, and so that's the 12th fret and the 15th fret on the E string, also on the A string. And the 12th, 13th, and 14th. 12th, 13th, and 14th on the D string. 12th and 13th, 14th on the G string. 13th, 15th, and 16th on the B string. And then coming back to that 12-15 combination on the little E string. All right. So that we can use both those up at the top as well. So say we want to do E, but in the same as the original box. Then it's right, or say we want to do A. Okay, like I said, we could do E down here. Or there's also E here. Right? So those 2 alone can get you a lot of length on the neck. And then one thing I want to leave before we play a final song that kind of puts everything together. When you're comfortable in this position and you're starting to jam and everything like that, you know, I feel like at this point in our lessons in general, actually, you have to kind of figure out what you want to do as a guitarist. Like, are you just looking to jam with your friends and be like the rhythm guy while one of your friends is a soloist? Because that's cool, that's fine, that's perfectly fine. So then, you know, you want to focus a little bit more on your chord work and your progression and your music theory. Do you want to be a songwriter? And is that more of your goal and you don't really care about all the flashiness and the, you know, you want just to make, you know, beautiful music in terms of songs? You know, are you learning so that you can be a lead guitarist because you want to shred and you want to, you know, be the next Slash, be the next Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix or, you know, Warren Haynes? And I mentioned those last three because Slash is my favorite guitarist by far. You know, Slash, Jimmy Page, Duane Allman, Dickie Betts, you know, Derek Trucks. You know, those guys are amazing guitarists. Eric Clapton, obviously. But Clapton, Warren Haynes, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Jimi Hendrix to me stand out because they not only are amazing guitarists, amazing rhythm guitarists, amazing harmony guitarists, amazing solo guitarists, but they also play and sing their own music. And that's something that, for me, is interesting. And in order to be able to do that, you kind of have to have a little bit more versatility, but also in order to be able to play lead like a Slash or like any of your favorite lead guitars, you have to be able to play outside of just this box. So 2 quick and easy ways to get there before we actually go over the rest of the scales on the neck are to go right, and that's just how we can get from our A up here, but we learned that this is all that's in A, right? So then we know that this note's already in the A, and we know that this note's in A because it's the start of our structure here. So every time you have a gap of 3 frets, the next one up will be a 1 fret difference. So essentially that means 1.5 steps, which is a gap of 3 frets. The next in your scale progression will be a half step when you're going up and down the neck. So we know that's all in A. So we went from here to here, all the way up to here, because we knew that that was going to be all in A. And then we know that this is our box A at the bottom. Right? And that's just by using the knowledge of those 2 structures, of the many structures that there are. We can now get from the bass chord all the way down to methodically, and you know, with melody, and also you know, we can mess around here. If you're playing, you know, to a blues track or anything like that. Right? Essentially, you can do a lot more with versatility. So just wanted to make sure that we're practicing that so that when we go to our next lesson, we really have a lot of bass structure, and it's really for the people who want to start learning like the advanced level of, you know, soloing, and the advanced level of kind of guitar harmony and, you know, different, what's the word? Can't think of the word, but when we're playing chords and we're not just playing the chords, we're also playing little fills in between and everything like that. And we're making very rhythmic harmony music, kind of like, you know, we'll probably play like Little Wing, stuff like that, where you learn things. But like, speaking of Jimmy, let's put this lesson together by a song that's actually pretty easy to play, but sounds great and is fun to play, and incorporates everything that we've kind of learned in this lesson as well as the last couple. Hey Joe, where you going now with that gun in your hand? Right on. Well, hope you guys are practicing. Again, always staying safe. Keep washing your hands, making sure your guitar is sanitized. Make sure every time you touch your guitar, in general, you should always wash your hands and sanitize before you touch your guitar, but especially now. Stay safe. We miss you. And I'd love to see you again for the next one. Peace.